Hey, it's Dustin with the Davidson Group with your July 23rd market update. This week we are going to be discussing the national data and statistics around our country, what's happening. Really, I wanted to dive into a Realtor article. This is our July and August edition, and they have a special report about the housing shortage. Just different aspects, different things people are talking about as far as overcoming the shortage from a seller's perspective, from a buyer's perspective, from a builder's perspective, and really just looking at what we're currently going through, what the pandemic has caused, and then where we're going for the future. A couple of pieces that I found interesting in here. New construction starts. We've talked about this in the past, but I thought it was a very interesting statistic, probably the only statistic number-wise I'm going to give you for the day. But from a new construction start, we're down 5.5 million new constructions for the last 2 decades or the last 20 years. And to make up that difference, we are going to have to build 2 million homes per year for the next 10 years. So we've got a lot of ground to make up to be able to cut that shortage. And we've got developers that are committing to and taking on that task. A lot of those are in the industry by way of realtors who are seeing the problems and finding solutions for them. But what they're saying is, right now, we are at our lowest inventory period, and we will continue for a short while until these new construction start to come on again and build up and continue on for the next several years. It's an interesting report. We obviously know that inventory is low. We obviously know that that's what's causing the shortage and causing the prices to rise and causing all of these influx of buyers and multiple offers and really this perfect storm we've talked about in the past. What I found interesting in here, more than the new construction piece, more than what we need to do from a creating inventory standpoint, was the buyer side and the buyer's remorse aspect. You know, buyer's remorse is a very real thing for all things, not just real estate related, but all products. And it's in my opinion, something that happens whenever you make a decision too quickly or too hastily without thinking about all the different outcomes and then moving forward. In this situation, a family during COVID, the kids started working or started going to school or doing a homeschool program. The husband started working from home. They had limited space. They were everywhere. Toys were strewn about. They were constantly at home. They had nowhere to go, and they just felt cramped. So they decided to upsize, and they upsized about 3 times the size of the home that they were in currently. They experienced this buyer's remorse whenever the kids started going back to school, whenever the activities started opening back up, whenever the husband's work opened back up and he started going back into the office and they realized they had 3 times the space they once had and they were now back to utilizing that smaller amount of space. It created this situation for them. And there's things that happened for the plus, right? So they bought at a time that allowed them to generate equity even today, even though it was you know, a few months ago or several months ago, they're equity positive in the home that they're currently in. They waited a few months because of their opportunities that they had and leveraging points to sell their home. So they actually got more for their home than they would have initially. They set themselves up to utilize the space for things that they can utilize just ease of use and going on. So the article continues on to basically say that though they had buyer's remorse, they were able to talk with their agent about repurposing their home, utilizing it for what they needed to, and really making that decision or understanding the decision that they made was important to them. It goes on to talk about the importance of sitting down and creating a framework and speaking with your agent and knowing, hey, this is a market that's a crazy market, and these are the things that we're going to look at in this market. And if you want to make a decision, a home purchasing decision now, this is your barrier to entry. But then talk through the different opportunities and options. You know, what's your purpose for making this move? What's your purpose for making this transition? Is it legitimate? If these factors weren't the same, would you still be wanting to make the transition? Do you need this space for a specific purpose? Just thinking back to that article, something that comes to mind is, hey, the husband, he needs a space to work. Maybe he just gets a space and rents out a space versus purchasing a space. You know, and this is a crazy thought for me to say, so I'm going to preface with that, but maybe they rent a home, and that home is for the purpose of schooling and for work, and then they go to their actual home to live and have their home. And it's short term and it's temporary. You know, they pay double payments, but they still don't have this huge house at the end. what I'm trying to say is that over the past year and a half, really the past couple of years, we've gone through massive changes in our world. We've gone through massive changes with our economy, with the way that we do work, the way we do life, and it's caused us to step back and reflect. We've got to be more creative and more innovative with the solutions that we provide. And so when I look at housing and your need for housing, we have to think about it from that lens of where we're at currently, but also where are we going, where are we going to be, and to ensure that buyer's remorse is not a thing that happens to you. We want you to be happy and satisfied and fulfilled in the home ownership dreams that you go towards and move towards. It's an interesting thing to see this special report, to see the things all over the country. We had agents talking about working countless hours and going through and finding themselves, 7 to 10 hours out on the road a day, looking at multiple properties, placing multiple offers, and missing out on these opportunities with their buyers. Their buyers feel like it's never going to happen. They feel like they didn't have the proper conversations up front, and that there's something there with their agent, and these dynamics that are happening with people, because it's an emotional process. We've talked about this. We're going to keep talking about this. This market's not going to go anywhere for a while. And so we have to strategize. We have to figure out and know what that end result's going to be for you, and make sure that you are comfortable and confident with that solution. Something, if you've had conversations with me, or if you were planning to, the conversation is going to look like this. If you're looking to sell your home, the first question I'm going to have for you is, what's your end game? What's your exit strategy? Because if you don't know where you're going to go and how you're going to get there, there's no sense to sell your home right now. You can list it and sell it for top dollar. That's great. But where are you going to go? And is that a solution that you're okay with? If you're thinking, hey, I've got plans, I can live with family for a couple of months until we find something, or whatever the case is, have you really thought that through? Are you prepared to live with your family for 6+ months? What if you don't find something? What if what you find someone else likes and you don't have the ability to get it, or it's outside of your budget or range? Thinking through and discussing those pieces and understanding when's the right time to take action, when's the right time to sit back and plan and be prepared to take action when the time arises. Those things are all very, very important to understand our market, to understand the dynamic, and to really know that it's not just us, it's not just this area, it's happening all over the country, and it's not going anywhere, at least for the next season or two. I'm seeing 24 months right now that we're going to continue on the way we are, 2 million homes a year for the next 10 years. It's a lot of homes to be built, a lot of homes to be built. So we've got a lot of ground to make up to get to where we need to be to have that average inventory, that influx of homes. And until we get there, we're going to be in a shortage. It doesn't matter how many people decide to move or to sell. We need new inventory as well to help pull us out of this seller's market and get us into a more natural, just a natural neutral market. Interesting market update, I would say, for sure. It was an interesting article. It was multiple segments. I enjoyed it. There was some information there on the backside as far as agents and things that other agents are doing to help navigate and be there for their clients. I'd love to talk about it with you. I feel here at the Davidson Group, especially at Keller Williams, we're having discussions and we are planning for these situations as they arise so that we know how to take on the obstacles that come in front of us. It's not a question in a real estate transaction. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And you have to know how to navigate it, and you have to know how to work through, and there's going to be some barriers there that you have to make some hard and tough decisions on. And we advise, right? We tell you, this is what that looks like. These are the options that could be laid out, but you have to be prepared to make that decision. And if that decision hits you out of nowhere because you haven't had that conversation on the front side, it may throw you off your tracks. It may throw you off of the path that you're trying to achieve. That's not a good thing, right? We don't like surprises. We know there's going to be concerns. We know there's going to be obstacles. We know there's going to be issues. But we also know how to get around them, how to navigate through them, and how to ensure that we get to the end result. What's your end game? Would be the question I always ask whenever I meet with home sellers right now. It's a market update. We're talking about the nation here. It's a lot of cool information, really to know that everyone's going through what we're going through, and know that there are people like myself around the country who are trying to create solutions for you all, the homeowner, to ensure that you have the opportunity to realize the American dream of home ownership and to know how to navigate through those processes. If you've got questions about it, if you want to talk about it, there's never a time that's too soon, depending on however far away it may be. I'd love to talk with you. Just as an initial conversation, maybe something at length. Either way, I'm happy. Hope this message finds you well. Thank you for taking the time to watch. And hey, if you know someone who's looking to be in the market or has questions about the market, share this video with them or just have them reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation. Until we see you next time.